everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing this in two parts. In the first part, I'm going to be talking to you about some research I've taken part in recently, and in the second video, I'm going to be doing a book review on Invisible Man. So to begin with, then, I'm going to talk to you about some research I took part in recently. I took part, or I'm taking part in, I should say, as this is ongoing, in a University of Sussex NHS Partnership Trust research study, testing and comparing a new therapy for people with autism. I found out about this study while I was procrastinating on Twitter. Procrastination is something I do a lot. We often think about procrastination as, just idly procrastinating and nothing really coming out of it. But sometimes, actually, procrastination can be productive in the most unforeseen ways. You don't always, often when you're least expecting something can just come into your path, and this is what happened with me. So I found out about the study while I was procrastinating on Twitter, and I then emailed and phoned the researcher, so I took a little bit of our initiative, and to find out if it's still taking place, which it is. And I had a brief phone interview with one of the researchers who prepped me on what the study is about. The study is comparing a prosody therapy, which I think is currently in use, if I remember correctly. I hope I've got that right. But I think that's the one she said is currently in use, which is a prosody therapy, with a new interoception therapy. The prosody therapy aims to improve recognition of vocal tones or the emotions that correlate with a certain tone of voice, while the interoception therapy seeks to improve recognition of heartbeat, and it's theorised that this will reduce anxiety. The idea with the interoception study, the interoception is said to be the felt sense, because we often think of there being like 5 senses, but actually there are many, many more senses that are only just being studied. And the interoception, as I said, is supposed to be the felt sense, like what's going on inside the body, like being aware of heartbeat and physical sensations and things like that. And the idea is that if someone thinks that they're pretty good at like working out what's going on inside their body, they're actually more, but aren't in reality. So in other words, it's a mismatch between how well they think they can interpret their bodily sensations, and how well they can actually do this in reality. So overestimating their ability to work out what they're feeling based upon the sensations from within, they're actually more likely to experience anxiety because they're misinterpreting sensations that they then take to be real, or that have real, or that really mean something, which when they don't really mean it. So like maybe thinking, I don't know, they're having a heart attack or something, if they experience like pains in their chest area or whatever, and they really think that they might be having a heart attack, but actually this pain, it means something completely different, and so they're not really very good at interpreting what's going on. Certainly that's my take on it anyway, and I know I'm pretty rubbish at this. I mean, that's probably partly why I have so much health anxiety, or did have it in the past, not so much now, because I did have this a lot in the past, but I went to the doctors, had loads of tests, because I got really bad hypochondria, health anxiety, and there's nothing wrong with me. This is quite a few years ago now, and it was explained, it's all anxiety. And interestingly, since I've become a little bit better able at understanding that this is anxiety, I actually don't experience these sensations so much. So it might just be I'm not quite as aware of them as I used to be. I'm not focusing on them, or when I do get them, I'm better able to rationalise them away as anxiety, so they don't stay around. It might be a little bit of that. So yes, I know historically, anyway, I haven't actually been very good at this, so that makes sense to me anyway. Yes. So that's the new therapy, and the idea is that by helping people with autism to become better at working out what's going on inside, that the anxiety will go down. And with the prosody therapy, the idea is that the better you are at recognising what someone means by the tone of their voice, or what emotion they're conveying, the less anxious you would be, which makes sense. So that's what the researcher explained to me over the phone. And then the researcher put me in contact with one of the researchers, who arranged for me to meet her for an initial assessment. And luckily for me, I don't have to travel all the way to the assessment centre, which would be quite a long trip for me, and it can all be done in my hometown, which is great, because I only had to walk a couple of minutes away from where I live down to the clinic. It was 1 to 3 o'clock PM the other day, And in yesterday's appointment, I had to fill in some questionnaires, which included Simon Baron-Cohen's AQ and EQ. You may or may not be aware of those. They're widely used in the UK as screening instruments for autism. There's also a questionnaire about recognition of various physical symptoms. For example, are you aware of having a dry mouth and tension, etc., etc. I found that one very hard to fill in because I'm pretty naff at these things, and a lot of it was just guesswork, but there you go. And one about how I feel in general. I have no idea. I'm not very good at that either, but yes, again, a lot of guesswork. So yes, all of these things I'm not particularly great at. So I hope this therapy might make me a little bit more aware of these things. We'll see how we get on. I also did some computer tasks, which seemed to take a long time to complete, and I did become quite tedious. The prosody task involved hearing a voice through headphones. The most common one I heard was, "What do we do now?" said in various tones. And then I had to click on what facial expression or what word, such as sad, disappointed, angry, excited, surprised, joking, happy, bored, etc., went with each voice. And also, as I said, there was also one where I had to match the voice with a particular facial expression that I was shown. Different faces were used as an elderly man, a child, a woman, showing different expressions, and I had to click on the one I thought most correlated with the voice. And this was very, very hard, and often I just guessed. I'm really bad at understanding facial expressions. I can't read faces for toffee. This one really taxed my brain. I'm sure there's a lot of activity going on somewhere in my brain, because my brain literally felt on fire, and also it was a very tedious activity. Not the most fun activity, but you know, in the interest of research, I stuck it out, and I hope that this obviously benefits research, and that's why I'm doing it. The interoception task involved having my pulse taken using my index finger. You know, you have that little, whatever you call it, on your finger to take your pulse. I had to count my heartbeat. That's actually very, very difficult. I had to count my heartbeat without feeling it or anything. I just had to sit there and count my heartbeat silently. And then I had to tell the researcher how many beats I had counted after a set period of time. The wheel number was recorded on a computer, but I was not provided with any feedback in this, because this is just an assessment task where I take a baseline comparing the two therapies, really. Then I had to listen to beeps from the computer that was recording my heartbeat. Sometimes the beeps were accurate, and other times the beeps were false, as random beeps were added alongside the heartbeat beeps, and I had to note which series of beeps I thought were true and which were false, and how confident I felt about my answer by putting a dash on a line. This exercise was very difficult as well. Finally, I had to do a computer task that involved a lot of focus and attention. I'm not entirely sure what was the purpose of this last exercise. I will need to ask maybe next time, because I'm not entirely sure. My guess is it's something to do with taking a kind of baseline measure of how well you're able to focus and things like that, but I'm not entirely sure. Two shapes were presented to me, for example a square and a circle divided by a line. Sometimes one of the shapes appeared in miniature in the middle of the line, and I had to click the arrow key pointing left or right to show which shape appeared on the line. Other times the shapes appeared followed by a blank, and I had to remember what shapes I had previously seen, and it was completely random, so it's really a task of attention and focus. Intermittently I was asked about my thoughts, questions such as if I had thought about the past or future during the task, in images or words, whether I was thinking of self or others, if my thoughts were detailed, in steps, and how vivid they were. And again, I found answering these questions very difficult, and it involved a lot of guesswork. I was then told that I was being placed in a prosody group, so I wasn't told what group I was placed in initially. I was only told after I'd done all of these exercises, and I didn't receive any feedback while doing these exercises, because this was just a baseline assessment. But when I start the training, the therapy proper, I will be given feedback on how well I'm doing, so then hopefully, you know, I'll make improvements, and that'll be good, because as I say, I'm really naff at prosody, at least I think I am, and it'll be interesting to see how, you know, what sort of feedback I get, and maybe, you know, whether I'm correct in assuming that I'm not very good. I mean, I don't think I'm very good. I certainly find this very, very difficult, or it certainly felt very difficult anyway. But it'd be interesting to see what sort of feedback I get and how well I'm actually doing. That'd be very, very interesting. And also, hopefully, I'll make some improvements. So I've been placing a prosody group. Yes, and also, of course, I do get paid for this, which is great. It's lovely to get a bit of money. So I received £15 on the door for my work yesterday. I'll put that aside to treat myself later on. I'll get paid each time I go. Yay! So not only do I get therapy, which will hopefully benefit me and, you know, benefit research, but I also get paid for it, which is great. So that's what I did yesterday. So do let me know if you ever take part in any research, and I'd be interested to hear about any of your research experiences. I'm now going to be moving on to my next video where I'll be doing a book review of Invisible Man, so thank you for watching.